Power Up, Forum for Energy and Environment. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Power Up, a program that informs you on trends and developments in the power sector and explains facts and issues related to energy development. We are here to guide and educate you on sustainable power generation because we care for the earth and the people. This morning, we discuss the topic renewable energy. Renewable energy, or RE application and development, has taken giant leaps since the passage of the Renewable Energy Law last year. Let us hear more of this interesting issue and see how this significantly reduces threats of climate change. We are fortunate to have with us a renewable energy expert from a highly respected non-government institution specializing in solar power and microhydropower development. Please welcome Engineer David Balyesa. Good morning to you, sir. Okay, first question. Climate change and biodiversity loss have been identified by experts as critical problems of the world, which must be immediately addressed. In the Copenhagen conference last year, wider use of renewable energy has been listed as one of the steps that can be taken by countries to mitigate climate change and arrest the loss of biodiversity. Can you explain more about this, sir?
I was not in Copenhagen when that saying was discussed, of course, no. But I can only surmise that the idea of promoting the utilization of renewable energy as a means to mitigate climate change came into the picture because of the fact that, the greatest or the biggest contributor to climate change, I think, is the depletion of the ozone layer, which is very much caused by CO2 dissipated in the atmosphere. This CO2 comes mainly from one. I don't know in which order do they come, but I think they come from burning fossil fuels, for power plants, for use in transportation sector, vehicles and so on, and other things. In other words, these are energy-related things that contribute to high carbon emissions, and thereby contributing to the fast depletion of the ozone layer that causes climate change. So it is just but logical that you promote the utilization of renewable energy technologies, in as much as these are not carbon or CO2 producing technologies. Take, for instance, the case of transportation. Nowadays, I think electronic vehicles are already very much being promoted. Imagine if you can replace, fossil fuels which are being burned by these vehicles every day by electricity coming from solar, for instance, for that matter, and from other renewable energy sources. So I think that is the very reason why the use of renewable energy resources or technologies as a means to mitigate climate change came about, because of that.
Sir, in the Philippine setting, do you think the use of renewable energy has gained acceptance from the energy sector and the public?
Well, definitely. I don't have the exact count of applications for renewable energy projects in the DOE as an offshoot of the passing of the renewable energy law. But definitely in my informal discussions with people from the Department of Energy, there's quite a lot. And also I come from the sector, from the consulting sector, and I know for a fact that a large number of local Filipino as well as foreign groups have came in and explored the possibility of going into large renewable energy projects at that here in the country. In terms of off-grid applications, I think that is exactly why Amore, or why projects like Amore and the other, no, delete that, don't mention that. No. There's still a lot of things to be done, but gauging from the fact that a number of barangays or communities in the country, in off-grid communities in the country, are using renewable energy systems such as solar or photovoltaic systems, I would say the interest has increased drastically. Yeah.
Well, that's, I think, very good news for the energy sector. But what are the problems now that confronts the renewable energy sector in the country, and how do you think this should be addressed?
The renewable energy law that was passed more than a year ago, actually, promises a lot of good things, no, for would-be project developers. Incentives like tax holidays, feed-in tariffs, and whatnot, provides enough incentive, enough, shall we call it, yes, incentive, no? Incentive to power developers to go into projects. But I think, judging from also the the pace of project development in the country, there would seem to be some problems as far as going forward with the regulations. I don't know what term we shall use, no? Regulations concerning project development in the country, which is being principally handled by the Department of Energy, needs a lot of, I would say, focus, no, as far as the government is concerned. I know for a fact that there are more than 100 projects that have been submitted to the DOE for applications for projects that have been submitted to the DOE for approval, and only a handful has been approved by far. So I don't know exactly what keeps the DOE from acting on these applications fast, but there definitely is some problem in there. And also the fact that the feed-in tariffs, which most project developers really are looking forward to finding out or to knowing exactly how much, is not yet formally determined by the government, no? Unless that is formally announced, determined and announced, I would say there will still be some apprehensions, no, on the part also of developers to really pursue projects.
Okay. So if business and industries decide to shift to renewable energy as power source, as you said, they are encouraged by the law, what will be the advantages and benefits for them?
We're talking about incentives for the businesses. For businesses that would be using renewable energy systems, I mean, simply using, they will not be generating power themselves, but rather they will just be using power that is generated, renewable energy generated power. I don't think there is much incentive for them. For, well, lower price of electricity probably because of the feed-in tariff, no, that would probably be the only direct benefit that the users will derive from it, But for developers, project of renewable energy projects themselves, as I said, there's a lot as provided for in the renewable energy law, no? In terms of tax incentives and tax holidays and so on. So there's a lot, but of course the greater incentive, I would say, for everybody, users and producers alike, of using renewable energy is the contribution that they could make, in mitigating climate change. That's it. I think that's no greater benefit, I would say, can be derived than that.
And what other steps would you suggest that the government and other stakeholders should take to attain wider use or the commercialization of renewable energy?
Yeah, okay. As I said already, the one area of utilization of renewable energy in a country like the Philippines, considering that this ours is an archipelagic geographic setup, is the application in off-grid areas. No? Statistics will show that we have approximately about 5 million, 3 to 5 million households still in the country that doesn't enjoy the benefit of electricity simply because they live in off-grid areas. But as of now, there already are technologies that are available that can be used, even in small scale for basic applications such as lighting and small power. The only thing that keeps this technology from being commercially used is the fact that most of the people living in off-grid areas doesn't have access to them, access in the form of access to the real products, no? And at the same time, if the products are available, many of these households cannot afford to purchase them without any financial intervention. So I would say, in order to promote and accelerate the commercial utilization of renewable energy technologies in off-grid areas, a lot of things can be done by both the government and other sectors, private sectors as well. No? From the government, probably some incentives will help. Incentives that they are giving anyway, or the government is giving anyway, on commercial, large projects that are intended to benefit people living in urban areas. So if they can translate that also to, incentives for the benefit of people living in off-grid areas, it would be best. And for the private sector also to help, like financing is a very, very crucial component, and the private sector can do a lot. Now, there are already a host of microfinance institutions operating in the country, and while they are now geared they are now doing financial interventions to projects that generate income, they can as well take a look at projects such as household lighting, using renewable energy systems as probably something that can be financed. While it is not income generating mostly, it definitely contributes to the economic upliftment of the lives of people living in rural communities, in off-grid areas. So I would say those two, for the private sector to help in the promotion and financing perhaps, and for the government also to put in some form of subsidies for people availing or using these technologies.
Okay. Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay na po.